elected the most beautiful motorcycle in the world. In 2024, the Ducati Diavel V4 is available in the Brazilian market, and in this video, you will get to know up close this gorgeous, truly Italian bike that goes from 0 to 100 in less than 3 seconds. If you're new here, I'm Amanda Pagliari, and this is the most charming motorcycle channel in Brazil, which also brings you the best motorcycles in our market. So I invite you to be part of the Motoplay channel by clicking the subscribe button down below and the bell next to it to turn on notifications so you don't miss any videos, okay? There are new videos here every week, and today you're going to get to know the Diavel V4 better, learn all the technical features, especially what's changed compared to the previous version, its performance in the city and on the road, fuel consumption, its insurance cost, and of course, my honest opinion with the pros and cons. The name Diavel is inspired by the word devil in the dialect spoken in Bologna, the place where the Italian brand was born. And the fourth generation of the Diavel arrives much more technological, more beautiful, lighter, and also more powerful. The engine went from 2 cylinders to 4 cylinders, mainly to comply with the new emission regulations in Europe and, of course, in Brazil as well. It can be considered a dragster, which are those bikes made for drag racing, but Ducati characterizes it as a muscle cruiser, that is, a muscular cruiser, let's say, right? And this muscular look became much more evident now in this 5.4 version, which in my opinion turned out gorgeous. And it won as the most beautiful bike now in 2024. Do you agree with me? Agree, disagree, and write here in the comments because I want to know if you think this bike is beautiful. The front became much more robust. These air intakes here make the motorcycle look even tougher. In fact, in the previous version, the turn signals were built into the fairing. Now they're not, they're up here on the top. Very beautiful in my opinion. And if you fall, there's less chance of damaging them compared to the previous version where they were on the fairing. All the lights are LED, just like the previous version, full LED. Even the headlight assembly has changed a bit. They call it double C, which is a C on each side. It's not completely circular or oval. Very beautiful in my opinion, this headlight assembly. We can see the turn signals that slide, right? But what really stands out about its lights is here at the rear. In the previous version, we had 2 strips of light, but now it's like a honeycomb, much more noticeable. And this light here works both as a tail light, right? And also look, as a brake light. And the turn signals, they're right here, right? Attached to the bottom part with this anti-spray fender here. Very beautiful. In my opinion, really the Italians know how to do their homework. They know how to work with design like no one else. And we can see the result of that. Look at this exhaust, how gorgeous it is. You can really see the 4 outlets here since it's a 4-cylinder. Really beautiful, well matched. The exhaust is part of the motorcycle. It's a work of art. And the cool thing is that it balances the weight since it has a single-sided swing arm, so the weight of the exhaust stays on this side. Balancing with the aluminum swing arm on the other side, it gives more stability to the motorcycle. Another change we had was with the wheels. Now with 5 spokes alloy wheels, with this machined finish here, it's actually very similar, almost the same as it was on the X Diavel. Now we already see this version. We only have one version for the Diavel. On the 1260, we had 2 versions, but now it's just this single version already with these very beautiful 5-spoke wheels that really stand out. They give it more strength, but without being too over the top. And just look at this big tire here, okay? They're 17-inch rims, both wheels, but back here it uses a 240 by 45 size, much wider than a lot of cars out there, right? So it really has that dragster vibe, especially the rear wheel here. And still talking about changes and also design, look at how the passenger foot peg is integrated. It's such a beautiful thing. It's functional because it really lets you rest your feet here safely, but when you're not carrying anyone, you can fold it up, which is really cool. Another change we had was here in the position of the gear shift pedal. Before, it used to go underneath. Now they've redesigned it to go over the top, which means it's almost impossible for you to scrape it in the turns. For this generation, Diavel lost the trellis frame that's so traditional in Ducati. That might be something the purists miss, but in my opinion, Ducati has been making the right choices. They've been removing the trellis from their motorcycles and replacing it with a lighter, more modern frame, even using the engine as part of the chassis structure. Just so you have an idea, compared to the previous version, the frame alone lost about 4 kilograms. By the way, overall, it's 13 kilograms less compared to the 1,260, so that's really a significant weight reduction. Oh, and the engine alone lost about 5 kilograms. So the engine got bigger, now it's 4 cylinders. But overall, it lost 5 kilograms compared to the previous 2-cylinder engine. And today, we have here a motorcycle with a dry weight of 223 kilograms. That means not counting the fluids and its fuel tank, which has a capacity for 20 liters of premium gasoline. By the way, another change is that the previous version had a capacity of 17 liters, and here it gained more range. The seat has also changed, it's been redesigned, so now we have a more ergonomic and wider seat, both for the rider and the passenger. There's a lumbar support here for the rider, embroidered with the name Diablo Quattro, which is very beautiful, and the foam is quite comfortable. Comfort is the main feature of this motorcycle. Here we have the passenger version with the single seat, something important that already comes like this from the factory. Look how cool, you don't have to pay anything extra for that. I'm going to show you how to remove this cover here so you can take a passenger. And here you just use this key that stays under the seat and loosen the 2 screws. Unscrew these 2 parts and that's it. You'll have your really cool passenger seat. Another thing that nobody knows is that there are no side handles here. But if you just pull here, there's this handle here. Really cool. Okay, it's not the most comfortable thing in the world for the passenger, but it's already a good workaround. You can hold on. Here in the back, everything is very well thought out, attached, very beautiful. The previous version had a 12-volt outlet under the seat. However, I looked and looked under the seat and couldn't find it, okay? All right, it's very easy to put on. So there's no 12-volt outlet. I looked for it on the motorcycle and couldn't find it. So that's another change compared to the previous version, to the previous generation. But still talking about the passenger seat, don't be fooled, okay? If you're going to carry a passenger often, my tip is to get a sissy bar, which is a backrest here for your passenger's lower back, so your passenger doesn't get lost on the road while you're riding. But you sped up the bike and the person was left behind, right? So don't do that. Bring more comfort to your passenger and she will definitely want to travel with you more, okay? Now I'm going to get on it so you can see the height from the seat to the ground. In fact, compared to the previous version, it gained 1 centimeter. So adding it all up here, 79 centimeters from the seat to the ground. So it has a certain height set. As for the motorcycle, for me actually, I think it fits most Brazilians, okay? Look, the riding position with the foot pegs centered here. So you can have a much more comfortable riding position. There was even a change here regarding the handlebars. It is 20 millimeters, 2 centimeters, more extended here towards the rider, and also higher. In practice, you have an upright posture. You don't have a sporty posture, nor are you lying down on the bike, so you end up in a normal position like this. On long trips, this doesn't tire you out. However, the faster you go, the more wind resistance you'll face. It can end up bothering you a bit. So that's it. In general, the riding position here is very comfortable. Let's talk about the suspension, because yes, there was a change in the front suspension. Not only did the color of the fork change, it's still an Öhlins fork, but now it's much more robust. It was inverted in the previous generation. It's still inverted, but now we have a 50 millimeter fork. Right, in diameter, much sturdier. The travel hasn't changed. It still has 120 millimeters with full manual adjustment for compression, rebound, and preload up here on the forks using a tool. There was a change in the rear as well. It still has a single spring with 145 millimeters of travel, which means 15 millimeters more than the previous generation. Even though it has a short tail here, when we analyze the wheelbase, we see that it's 1.59, so just under 1.60 in wheelbase. That means you'll have a balanced, stable bike on the road. Regarding the brakes, we had an upgrade for the better. Now it comes with Brembo Stilema, which is the best on the market when it comes to braking. And at the front, it still has dual brakes, just like the previous version, with floating discs, okay? But now it comes with Brembo calipers, Stilema with radial mounting and 4 pistons. The disc also got bigger, right? 330 millimeters in diameter. And we have the whole Brembo set. You see, lever, master cylinder, everything is top quality. It even comes with an air-equipped hose, which is a steel mesh that prevents or at least reduces the hose's ability to expand. So what happens? This is widely used in sports and racing motorcycles. When you use the brakes in a very sporty way, the fluid heats up, and if it's a rubber hose, there's a chance it will expand. It tends to do that. With this steel mesh, that doesn't happen, so you have better braking efficiency since the fluid won't expand and you won't lose fluid efficiency, okay? At the rear as well, Brembo and Stilema, so we have a single disc with a diameter of 265 millimeters and a caliper with 2 pistons. And onboard electronics in the brakes as well, so we have cornering, ABS, both at the rear and at the front. So if you brake in a curve, the bike will help you. And one of the main changes in this bike is the engine. After all, it has 5.4 in its name, referring to the engine here, which is a 4-cylinder, but in a 5 shape. You can see the design of the engine. So we have an engine here with a lot of torque, very beautiful. With the design here, the engine cover says 5.4 Gran Turismo. And why Gran Turismo? It's derived from the Panigale V4 and also from the Street Fighter 4. We have a compact high-performance engine here. A lot of people might think that because it lost some displacement compared to the 1.260, since this engine has 1,158 cubic centimeters, that was a bad thing. But actually, no, it gained power. Now it has 168 maximum horsepower at 10,750 RPM and 12.8 kgfm of torque at 7,500 RPM. So in practice, it's a lighter, more efficient engine and much more powerful. By the way, I wanted to tell you all that it has a technology that shuts off 2 cylinders depending on the RPM you're at. In practice, it's like this. When you're in the city, you don't need all 4 cylinders, all this power, this beastly force. You just don't need it. In the city, we know that at most you'll be in 3rd gear depending on the traffic. So it's going to reduce, actually it's going to shut off as you're at a certain RPM. The electronics already take that into account. It shuts off 2 cylinders, and in practice you'll use less fuel, it'll heat up less, and you'll have more comfort in the city, okay? And it does this gradually. Sometimes you don't even notice. And when you really step on it on the highway and need performance, then all 4 cylinders work perfectly. And it comes with an assisted slipper clutch, 6 gears, and final transmission by chain, not belt. Just like the previous generation, the ride-by-wire electronic throttle is really good. It's one of the best on the market, and this bike has it. And it comes with a proximity sensor. Look, this switchblade key and this key here, it actually serves 2 purposes. To open the seat here, as I showed you, and also for you to refuel, okay? Since the proximity sensor won't open the fuel cap, okay? Like other motorcycles we have on the market. But the good thing is you put it in your backpack, in your jacket, and you can start the motorcycle. To start it, you just press the button here. It does this presentation. All the indicators light up. A cool animation. The dashboard is really beautiful, okay? But so you can see it clearly without any glare. I'm going to put it here, look, against a white background. You just put it here, look light, and that's it. Look how cool. You can even adjust it, see, make it brighter. So we have a really complete panel here. We have a round tachometer, a clock. Here we have the maps. So in urban mode, it's showing these maps here, a little summary for you to understand. Here the light, right? It's telling you, look, here I turned it off, ambient temperature. Here the trip computer information we have here. Look, the speedometer. Okay, this side stand here, it's telling you that the side stand is down. The little foot is engaged. The fuel gauge is this tiny one up here. Here is the menu information, okay? So we have this tablet, right? This screen here is 5 inches, a colored thin film transistor panel with lots of information, okay? I'm gonna go through this quickly so we don't take too long. Here we have all the information from the panel for you to set up, including lap information, right? This lap here, look, you can have it off, but you can activate it and then choose a button to see your laps. I won't remove it here so it doesn't get too cluttered. Tire calibration, you do it while riding. It tells you Bluetooth, because it connects with your phone. The app is from Ducati. Here, look, the turn signals that you can turn off or not. In fact, they already have auto canceling. You can leave it manual or let them turn off by themselves. The Ducati riding experience daytime running lights. Here, look, manual or auto. You can manually adjust the brightness or let it auto adjust. Okay, I'll leave it on manual here. Here, fuel information, how you want it to be displayed. Display information. This is cool because look, you can choose what it's gonna show you. Interesting, right? So you can come here and look in any order you want. 1, 2, or however you like. Let me just scroll up here. Okay, hold on. Oops, I already changed something here, see? You can choose here according to the numbering. It will show you the order of the information. In other words, guys, a lot of technology. I'm going to put it here, riding mode. This is something interesting. Why? Here you can start experimenting with the motorcycle settings. For instance, it's currently in urban mode, which is quite charming. Power. Even if you don't know English, it already shows you the engine here. When you click, you can reduce power, increase power. And how does this power deliver to you, right? Does it deliver smoothly or does it deliver more dynamically, more aggressively? You can choose, see? It's on low, which is for city driving. You don't need everything. Then the dual clutch transmission here, traction control, how are you going to choose? So guys, each riding mode, besides having the riding modes here, right? You can adjust everything. It's not that factory preset riding mode already set and you can't do anything. Here is the anti-wheeling and here you have the quick shifter, which is bi-directional. You can choose just down or up or leave it on or turn it off if you want, right? Really cool. So you have 4 riding modes. So you have urban, touring, sport, and also wet, which would be the rain mode. So just so you have an idea, here in sport mode, look, everything is fully dynamic. So when you accelerate, the bike really goes. Traction control is set to performance and hold. I can set it to track, which means it will get more aggressive. So I'll leave it as is. I don't ride on the track anyway. I don't need that much aggressiveness in traction control. ABS, I forgot to mention here in the center, the gear indicator. And the dashboard has connectivity with the app, so you can have turn-by-turn navigation, which is very useful. Here on the left handlebar, we have the buttons for you to access the menu settings and everything else. Here we have the cruise control, which is very useful for trips. Down here, you go left and right. Below is the horn. Here on the red button, we have the hazard lights. Here is the button to turn the daytime running lights on or off. And back here are the high beam buttons. It shows here on the dashboard, low beam and also the flash. And here on the right side, we have the button to cut off the engine power, okay? The ignition button and down here to lock the motorcycle. And back here, I didn't show it, but we have this DPL, which is the launch control. So when you press it, look, it opens here, launch control. So you have several levels here, 1, 2, and 3. Basically, it will give you the instructions. You'll accelerate all the way and you'll take off with the bike. I don't have the courage because it's too powerful. Better leave it alone, right? So we basically have this information here on the panel. And the levers, both the clutch and the brake are adjustable. Oh, and this little lock down here is for locking the bike. So I'm going to turn it off here. Look. I turned it off. I turned it here and held it. Look, I locked it. With this, see, the handlebars are locked. And now that I've shown you everything about the Diavel V4, it's time to ride it through the streets of Sao Paulo and hit the road as well. So hop on the back with me. can already feel that the handlebars are really long, right? It's in twin mode, right? I'm going to put it here, look, in urban mode, just so we can have, there you go. Just so we can save more fuel, look, to get through here, it's that thing, right, guys? Lane. No, and you know what's worse? The mirror here sticks out past the handlebars, see? So you have to be careful and take that into consideration. Aside from the handlebar issue, which really gets in the way, I'm really surprised by the Diavel in the city. Seriously, this engine, it's powerful, but it's not that scary engine, you know? That harsh characteristic where you have to be really careful when releasing the clutch because it's very jumpy. Wow, the low-end delivery of this engine is really interesting, really nice. So I think that's a really good thing because with the older Ducatis, you used to have that stress, right? And then you couldn't let go even a little bit because the bike would wheelie, the bike would take off. And now you can actually ride in traffic much more calmly, much more relaxed without having that stress anymore, right? Wow, you have to be careful not to hit the mirrors here, right? I was surprised, a pleasant surprise. Because of this, look, the engine doesn't get that hot. Wow, I always complain that Ducati engines get really hot, causing discomfort. But this engine here, look, Ducati has really improved. The car isn't heating up much. I'm coming over to take a turn. The steering isn't very responsive, right? I'll hit the road soon so you can see for yourself. Wow, the suspension. Yeah, the suspension is a little stiff, more on the sporty side, right? But you can adjust it. It's a powerhouse, but when you're riding it, wow, it's so light, really easy to handle. It's on the road that you really notice the purpose of this machine. Accelerating now, totally. Honestly, there are still gears left for it. It's impressive how much power it has. If I want to accelerate, it'll give me even more. Of course, the rear tire makes it a bit harder to take corners, but even so, its handling is really well tuned for cornering. But don't be fooled. It's not a Panigale with super sporty handling. You can make adjustments on the dashboard. While riding, I'll hold here and choose the sport mode. Great, stop accelerating. Let's go. In a bit, I'll ride on the back so you all can see. It's bad for the passenger. I'm just saying, oh, Amanda, but this is a dragster. It's not meant to carry a passenger. So buy a sissy bar, like I said, or else you're going to have a hard time. Well, guys, in summary, here on the road, it's a really cool bike to ride. It's a bike that's truly made for the road. I found it comfortable. The seat, the chassis, the suspension, you can adjust it, right? So here on the road, it goes really, really well. I loved it, guys. It's better on the road. And so this video doesn't get too long. Let's wrap up now with the pros and cons. And before I finish with the pros and cons, I'm going to talk about the fuel consumption of the Diavel V4. I know that people who buy a machine like this aren't too worried about fuel consumption, but I'll talk about it because I'm sure a lot of people want to know, right? In the city, with me riding, according to the dashboard reading, it averaged about 16 to 18 kilometers per liter in the city, okay? There was a moment when I even got up to 18. I was actually surprised that was the best average I managed, 18 kilometers per liter in the city, riding really calmly. But on the road, going full throttle in sport mode, really pushing this bike, it averaged about 10 kilometers per liter, okay? So there's this range from 9 or 10 kilometers up to 18 kilometers per liter, depending on how you ride. But Ducati promises a slightly more fuel-efficient engine compared to the previous generation. Do you have a Ducati Diavel V4? Write it here in the comments. I want to know what kind of fuel consumption you get with it. When it comes to insurance, we know that having a machine like this means you have to get it insured, right? Let's discuss the numerous positive aspects of this machine. I've noted them down as there's a lot of great things to cover. The presence sensor is very practical. My scooter has this technology, so I know how cool it is. Second, the design, guys. This motorcycle is beautiful. It even won the title of the most beautiful one. I think it's really worth it if you want a motorcycle that stands out, has presence, and everyone will know when you arrive. So look, go with the Diavel and you'll have that presence. You'll be imposing when you ride, okay? One really cool thing, another positive point is the finish. Everything is very well done. It's a premium motorcycle, so you can see the finish, the little parts, the fitting. Everything really looks like it was designed bike by bike. It seems like they designed everything there. Everything fits together really well. So if you want a premium motorcycle with a super high quality finish, this one could be a good option for you. Another positive point is the onboard electronics. They help you a lot and you can turn them off, which is really good. There are some adjustable features, so that's a positive for the electronics. They help a lot without being intrusive. The ABS and controls are subtle, activating only when you reach the limit to save you. The powerful brakes are another lifesaver on this bike. Guys, this bike has some serious stopping power. Squeeze them hard and you'll do a stoppie. No joke. It's great because people might wonder if the brakes can handle the 168 horsepower, but they definitely can. You can trust that they will handle it. The dashboard is another positive point. It's super complete, easy to use, looks nice, and the information is very easy to read. That's definitely a positive point. And then there's the bonus, which is the connectivity. I love connectivity, especially when there's a navigation system, so that's a positive point for that. Another great feature is the V4 engine, which is truly exciting, guys. Maybe I felt a little less burst of power at the start compared to the previous model, the previous generation, but it doesn't fall short at all, okay? It might not have that punch at the start when you accelerate, but you really feel the 12 kilograms of torque. So it's a very exciting, very fun bike. I really like this engine. It doesn't get as hot compared to the other one, the 1260. So for me, it's perfect, really good. I liked it a lot. It's a fun engine. The sound, okay, it's not all that, right? It's not an inline 4-cylinder engine. But anyway, I think the looks make up for the sound. What about you? Do you agree with me? Agree or disagree? Write it down here below. Oh, and one more thing about the engine, adding another positive point, is that it has this technology to shut off 2 cylinders, which is really good for fuel economy, overheating, and all that. So that's a positive point. The suspension, both front and rear, is another positive aspect. The rear suspension seems to have been improved. I revisited my previous video where I had mentioned not liking the rear suspension, but now the travel has been enhanced, suggesting they addressed the issue. Front suspension, not to mention, right? Fully adjustable, that's a positive point. Another positive point is the seat, okay? I'm going to include the single seat here. I found the seat comfortable, beautiful, and it comes with this single seat as standard. Other manufacturers charge for it as an accessory, but it's included here, which is a positive point. Another good thing is the range of accessories you can use to customize your Diavel. I think that's a good thing, okay? Of course, I don't know if they're the cheapest in the world, but if you have a Ducati, you're definitely not thinking about that. Another good thing is that now it has more capacity, more range, more autonomy. The tank holds 20 liters, right? That's an improvement over the previous generation, which was already really good. Another cool thing is that the maintenance intervals have increased. I have here, look, a record interval for valve adjustment checks at 60,000 kilometers. That's a good thing, right? The less you have to go to the shop, the better. The more time you spend driving for sure, and it saves you money. And the oil change is scheduled every 15,000 kilometers or every 2 years. Would you have the courage to change it every 15,000 kilometers? Look, I wouldn't change it, but at least you have that warranty coverage, okay? I think changing it at least halfway is already good, right? Although there are people who have a Diavel V4 and keep riding all the time, right? But anyway, that's it. Do you have more positive points? Write them down here below because I want to know your opinion. Now let's go, guys, to the negative points, right? After all, a machine like this has its pros, right? Which are the majority, but there are also the cons. And the first negative point is that I think it doesn't steer much. Oh, Amanda, that's just being picky, okay, guys? But I had to say it, I had to mention it. Still, I think it could have more features, right? With all this technology, where's the power outlet? I'm the queen of outlets because I frequently use global positioning system. Okay, there's the turn-by-turn on the dashboard, but it could at least let you recharge your phone. I apologize if there's an outlet here that I missed. I couldn't locate it and wasn't able to confirm with the manufacturer in time. The previous version had an outlet under the seat, but this Diavel version doesn't, which is a drawback. Another downside is the after-sales service, not referring to the excellent Ducati staff, but rather a few other aspects. First, the dealership. So you don't have dealerships in every city, not even in every state capital in Brazil, which ends up making it a bit harder for those who want to buy a Ducati to get maintenance done. And speaking of maintenance, you're going to pay a little more because it's a premium brand. So it's not enough for you to just save up all your money from your piggy bank. To buy a V40, you also need to save up money for maintenance. Okay, parts and labor, after all, it's a premium motorcycle. Another negative point I can mention here is that it's written right here. Look, premium unleaded gasoline. And then it says the brand or similar. My suggestion is that you always follow the manufacturer's manual. After all, if something goes wrong, you won't be blamed. And we know that gasoline is unfortunately expensive in Brazil. So that's a drawback. If you use low quality fuel and something malfunctions, they might blame you, correct? So it ends up being a risk. And of course, there's the price, right? But I think the price is fair. I'm just going to list the price here as a negative point out of jealousy because I don't have the money to buy it, right? So we simple mortals can't take this machine home, okay? But there are people who would say the price is fair. Do you agree with the price? Disagree? Write it here in the comments and let's talk about the price. And it's available in two colors. There's this gorgeous red one and the black version that I tested with a suggested retail price starting at 139,990 reais plus shipping. So what did you think of this machine? Would you have one? Write your opinion here in the comments. I want to know what you think. Remember, there's a video testing the previous version, the 1260. I'll leave the link here in the card and up here for you to watch later. Leave a like, share this video with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any videos. Let's reach the milestone of 1 million motorcycle lovers. I'm counting on your help. Send it to that friend of yours who loves Ducati and beautiful high-end bikes. Did you like this Italian motorcycle? Leave a like and comment below. I'll leave a cool video for you. See you next time. Moto Kiss.